This is a D6 generation pip. Bite-sized content for a busy gamer. Sometimes featuring Craig, sometimes featuring Russ.
Hey, what about me?
Oh yeah, and sometimes featuring Raef, Hollywood Granger.
Okay, so Russ is here. We're up in my gamer loft.
It's a nice loft, too.
Yes.
How many different beverages are in your fridge?
I think there's just three. We've got
You're slipping.
some kind of ultra
form of light beer
that the nephews brought over because they're all older now and they can like drinks. So
Sure.
they brought that for Thanksgiving.
All right.
I got Coronas. I like those.
All right.
Seltzers, and that's it. And then of course our bourbon. We've got
bourbon's good.
you know.
See, now you're talking.
And we got hard pretzels.
I'm not a hard pretzel guy. Soft pretzels, now you're talking.
Soft
Hard pretzels, I don't know.
So I thought we would throw the recorder on.
Yeah, sorry about the zipper noises here. We're using, this is like phone quality. This is really subpar.
Well, I thought it'd be fun because I got a couple gamer questions. And,
Sure.
Russ is here early because he's trying to dodge me in War Machine.
No, I'm not dodging you. It was a blackmail situation.
Yeah.
So
Wait, this is pretzels.
no one likes that noise. So I've talked about Dune Imperium on the show before, and I don't know. I think Raef, you may have talked about it at least in one of your segments, but we both like Dune Imperium a lot. It plays nice and fast. It's got some nice, cool Euro mechanics, and of course, it captures the theme of Dune very, very well. You're hearing all these noises because Raef is setting up the table while we're doing this.
I want them to get a bird's eagle ear view of what it's really like.
Bird's eagle.
Gaming with Russ.
That's exactly.
Gaming with Russ.
That's what the metaphor is for. So anyway,
Eagle ear.
So anyway, the only downside of this Dune game is that its table presence isn't really. It's nice, it's clean, the graphic design is great, but in terms of actually like really popping off the table, it doesn't. It's a bunch of wooden cubes and some wooden stuff. Anyway, so about, I don't know, it feels like a year ago now, they came out with the Dune, like, I don't know what they called it. I call it the Bling set, which was a new larger box, which includes all kinds of miniatures and everything else to make the game really pop and look cool.
Oh.
So I ordered this back when it was first supposed to come out. I think this was right before COVID. And I ordered it, and it was supposed to already be done, and you're going to get it, like, within a week or two. And so it wasn't like a Kickstarter situation. And then COVID hit, and then all of a sudden it went off the radar. So I thought I was just ordering it and it was just gone. But they sent an email saying, hey, sorry guys, like the container ship got stuck like everything else under the sun.
That's the new out clause.
Right.
COVID.
COVID.
Or
container ships, China, whatever. So anyway, it sort of vanished. And anyway, it came in about a week ago. And in some weird thing, and I don't know exactly how this happened, I got 2 of these plus sets. Now, these 2 plus sets, they...
Where does Dave get one?
Well, this is how this happened. So
I see, folks, he's got a sticky note. He's got
Russ and Dave. I have the 2 boxes here. So I've already taken... So what's cool about it is it comes with this new box, which is big enough to hold all the components of the original game, plus all the cool plastic trays that hold all the cool bits, making this game on par with like cool Mini or Not type games with all kinds of cool components and trays and box control. It's awesome. So I put all mine in one, but then I had this extra one. Now I knew Dave was a huge fan of Dune, and he said this thing like 6 times. He's played the game a ton already, Dune Imperium specifically. And so I reached out to Dave, and I was like, Dave, I have this extra Dune box. Would you be interested? Because you can't get them anymore. They sold out. They're gone. I mean, I'm sure they may make more. I don't know. They haven't said. But anyway, so they're gone right now. And so Dave's like, yes, what do I have to do to get that from you? And he was like, do you want me to pay like list price? Do you want to pay double list price? I'm like, no. All you have to do is buy me dinner and get people to play the game with us. And so that's why this happened. You see, this is my blackmail. So Dave got the game set up tonight with Raef and our friend Andy and Dave and myself. Dave gets the box of Dune. I presume we'll be going to dinner at some point. He's paying for my dinner, theoretically. Bada boom, bada bing.
Okay.
And so I got to play a game of Dune.
Because this is how it
that was my Jedi mind tricks.
This is how it came to me, listeners at home. So, first of all, I don't know if you noticed, but Can you hear the volume that Russ is talking out? That's his normal gamer volume.
No, I'm talking because I want to make sure the microphone.
He's not projecting for the phone.
I am projecting for the phone.
It could be really echoey because my chamber doesn't have any rugs or anything in it.
I may be too loud.
Him bellowing in his gamer voice reminds me of
spice must flow.
When he would come over to the house a few times and my kids were littler and I'd be like, Russ, the kids are trying to sleep, and he'd be like, normal house noise. So
you got to train him young, man. You can't be having him think it's quiet all the time. They got to sleep through anything.
So here's how it comes presenting to me. Russ and I played War Machine, as you guys know, because we recorded it like a month or so ago, and we said, hey, this is fun, and right then and there, we go, we should do this again, and then we locked it in, and so we set a date, December 9th, which is today. Okay, yes. But a week ago, Dave's like, hey, anybody want to play a game on a Wednesday or a Thursday or maybe even a Saturday?
It was random.
And it was just random. And then I noticed that because normally we don't get texts that go out to our game group that say, do you guys want a game on a non-Tuesday, right? Right. So I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh, Russ and I have a game scheduled on Thursday already. If you really want, you guys want to come to my place because I got to do some driving for kids for sports, we can play Dune. And so now I'm losing my War Machine against Russ, really because he's trying to dodge me, but his backup story is...
I'm not trying to dodge you.
His backup story is to give Dave a game.
I feel like I beat you decisively last time we played. I'm not quite sure if I remember that correctly, but I think that's not.
You did.
But I am looking forward to more War Machine, so I'm definitely not dodging that. It just didn't work out. I thought we could play on a Tuesday night, but it just didn't work out for anybody, so unfortunately.
Now,
yes.
Who publishes this game?
It's sort of interesting. It's by Direwolf Games, but what I don't quite understand, and of course by Legendary also.
Can you pull the corner?
Yeah, but it's got the Legendary logo on it because, of course, Legendary made a new movie. And it's got all the new visuals of the new movie. However, what's interesting is if you read the back of the book, the credits section
goes to Stephen Bonacore. He's not retired.
No. But it does go to a little section here on Gale Force 9. Which is interesting because Gale Force 9 did a great job on licensed games like Spartacus and Firefly. And so I don't know how they're involved in this. Yes, I don't know how they're involved in this. Well, it's Battlefront. But yes, I don't know how they're involved in this because their logo's not on the front, but they're clearly in the back of the book. So, which does explain why it's so good. And then there's also Direwolf. Direwolf's actually digital, so I don't know how that all fits into all of this. But in any case, great game. Love the components. And so I'm setting up now all the cool little miniatures here for us to play on.
Okay, and so, yes, I had mentioned in my What to Get for the Holidays and Game with Your Family episode.
Yes.
I had said something like, Dune's a fun game.
Yeah, it is.
But when you walk by it,
it doesn't jump out.
People aren't going to go, oh, what's that? As compared to Scythe.
Well, I'm working on it now. How's it feeling? Is it feeling like it's jumping out yet? How about a giant brass worm coin?
That's cool.
There you go. Look at that.
Brass worm coin is cool.
You can't really call heads or tails, though, because the sides are identical. But giant brass worm coin. You have these cool... so each of the major sort of political powers in the Dune universe has these tracks on the side. And in the base game, the normal game, they have cardboard circles. Mm-hmm. And so when you gain their favor, you take control of those circles to show that you now have a good alliance with the Fremen, or the Emperor, or the Spacing Guild. But now, those sort of boring cardboard circles have been replaced by cool three-dimensional models that represent those different factions. So, like, the Spacing Guild has a little flying Spacing Guild ship, and the Fremen has a little main Fremen dude there. Bene Gesserit has one of the ladies with her little headdress on and a chair. That kind of thing. To add a little bit of pizzazz to that side of the board.
Well, I am curious, because... strangely, this game I actually do very well at. Most games is
it's got some ridiculous stuff in there.
It must be because I normally don't win most games. I try to win. I don't go in saying I'm not going to win, but I'm not surprised when I don't.
Right.
Because I don't quite understand the engine or something. Mm-hmm. But right from the get-go, I understood this engine. And what I want to say to people is, I don't know the Dune universe. Have I read the novels? Maybe. Probably. Can't remember them.
Once upon a time.
I don't know what a Fremen is. I vaguely remember a spice worm jumps out of the sand and tries to eat people.
It does.
That's about all I know. So the game is still really fun, even if you're not a Dune lore person like me.
Now, I don't want to criticize your gaming layer setup here because it is quite nice, and the whiskey in particular is very good. I love the couch.
We're gonna have that after I pick up my daughter.
So I just want to point out a small flaw in the configuration of the table.
Yes,
because you're going to be playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be playing the game,
mm-hmm.
and Dave's going to be playing the game,
mm-hmm.
and Andy's going to be playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the way Raef's gaming table is structured, there are only 3 sides.
Not true.
How do we get a 4th player in here?
Number one is I have the end of it butted up against my cabinet because we need egress to go on the other side of the table. There'd be no room
nice,
otherwise.
Nice SAT word.
So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, all right.
Because I set up...
But isn't someone not going to be able to reach the table very well?
No, right here. Someone's going to... So guys, I've set up... I have a long... 6-foot table, and then I have a short 4-foot table.
This thing.
So that we'll put some pictures up, and that makes a little L-shaped and allows egress to the door.
Okay, all right. We'll figure. I was asking because I'm setting the game up while we're talking, and I'm trying to figure out where to put the player mats and all the player bits.
2,
and
3, 4.
1, 2. Okay, all right. I think I can figure that out. All right. Now, one of the things I also really like about this particular setup, and it really captures the theme well, is. When I came in, Raef had a grass mat set up with the game on it. I thought that wasn't really appropriate for a board game because the old GW grass mats, they kind of shed a little bit. So, so Raef said, well, I have a neoprene mat, so we're using that instead. So it really captures the theme because here we are on Arrakis, the desert planet, and we're playing on a snow neoprene mat. So it really brings home the flavor.
Thank you.
Well, it does have a bearing.
Thank you for my cross.
It does.
My off branding.
Right.
Do you know why this is? I have snow covered landscape.
Well, yes, because you play Kador.
Yes, because
machine. I know what
the northern line.
Yes, I was just mocking you for the. Yeah.
I wanted to chat with you, not do an oral setup because that'd be boring and because this is quite visual. But
yes,
I have other questions for you.
Sure.
I was thinking about you the other day because I had dinner with Craig and Karen.
Yes. How are they doing?
And they're doing great.
Okay.
And we were talking about games, of course. At some point, Craig and I, did that thing that you can do. You can kind of sneak away from the wives' conversation.
He snuck off
for 5 minutes. Well, we're at a table, so we didn't literally sneak off. And then he was talking about how he's not playing Warhammer anymore.
No,
he's just frustrated it. He listed what his army size game is and his whatever game and whatever game. And I've recently bought the 9th edition rulebook, and I've read Kill Team, and I played Kill Team, and I liked it, and it was fun and nostalgia, and I'm looking forward to playing Crusades. And I wondered, I always just think it's funny when Craig or any of us kind of swear off a game because that was our game that we played so much in the beginning of time.
Yes.
And arguably could even say launched the podcast. But for Warhammer, I never would have gone to the Wizard's Tower, I never would have met you.
True.
I never would have met Craig, blah, blah, blah. So I wondered where you are currently in the Warhammer.
Are we talking about fantasy or 40K?
Well, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Did you know that they're keeping... what's the new name for fantasy now? Age of
Sigmar, yes.
They're keeping Age of Sigmar, and they're going back to the old world.
Oh, why would they not?
They're going back
why not?
They're going back to old... You can stand up a little bit more than that.
I'm just bending down because I'm putting the guys
I have slanted roofs, and Russ is tall.
Raef's critiquing my deployment of little dudes.
I'm afraid he's going to get a hunchback.
Oh, yeah.
Age of Sigmar is going to exist alongside of the old world.
Interesting.
They're going back to the old storyline, which I think is kind of cool.
That is cool.
But I just wondered, where are you on your 40K journey?
Well, when the latest edition, I guess, might be one edition behind. I don't think so. When the latest edition came out, I started it. It was when Speed Freaks came out, which I guess wasn't that long ago. I guess it's a couple.
I don't know.
So Speed Freaks was they tried to introduce the board game, the old orc driving board game, and they called it Speed Freaks. It came back out, and and they also came out with a bunch of new orc vehicles for 40K, and I got all excited. They had the new jets, they had the new cars. I bought a bunch of the vehicles. I had a bunch, and I was going to play, and I did play. I played with my Imperial Guard a little bit, that edition, and I liked it. The problem I had, and I think I've talked about this in the show, is that the gameplay is just too long.
Oh, it is long.
And I don't know.
It is.
I don't know why it bothers me so much, because it's never really been fast or short. And it's not like War Machine is that much faster. It just feels like each turn in like when I play War Machine, I don't notice where the time goes. Like it's done, and it usually takes 2.5, 3 hours, right? Which is not fast, but it's not all day. 40K, like it feels like I'm waiting a lot.
Jeez, it feels like I had forgotten about that.
It feels like I'm waiting a lot, and it feels like it takes half a day or a whole day. And so, like, I feel like I'm waiting. Like, I feel like it's like there's a lot of math happening, and not like fun math. Like, there's just a lot of like figuring things out. There's a lot of rule looking up and rule debating.
Wait. I want to try something.
Yeah.
Do you know those ASMR videos?
Yes.
Okay, listen. Okay, shh.
Don't know. Oh, see, this is why we.
All right, wait. Shh. Do you guys hear that?
See, listeners are learning now.
Wait.
So many decisions are made about the show that didn't involve any of this.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, I don't know. It's missing It still has everything that made it 40K ever, from the beginning. But I think it somehow, I don't want to say it doesn't have the fun, but it doesn't have the lean, constant action and excitement. There's still amazing moments, there's still amazing stories, but it feels like most of the time is doing work to get to the fun part. Whereas with other games, now more modern, and it's weird because it's a new version of 40K, so it's still modern, but I don't know, just different systems have done a better job.
You really kind of nailed something there. That's why I love talking to you about. Now I'm not trying to do SMR. I was stirring my coffee.
Now you're just making it hard to hear.
Okay. I let the record reflect that Raef's ideas for segments are often one of the most popular.
Sure.
So,
well, let us know this particular segment.
Let us know if you like ASMR.
Would you like more of this?
Echoey.
No, see, we're not starting an No, I just refuse.
No, just little
on
bits.
A bunch of grounds that really have no place on a family podcast. You can come hear this.
So let us know if you enjoy the ramblings of Russ and Raef in an echoey Hammerlock with
no, stop.
ASMR. Okay, listen.
Wow.
All right, seriously.
Okay.
That's a really brilliant observation. I had forgotten that feeling you get when playing 40K. Excuse me, where you're so right, like you're all excited, right? And you got the novels inside your head, and you're building your army list, and you got your paint, and you're putting your tanks out, and you got your little guardsmen, and you're like, oh yeah, they're in a trench line, and then you move, and that's fun.
Yeah.
But then you shoot and you get assault. But then when it's the opponent's turn, you're sort of like, now what do I do for half an hour?
Right.
Like, you just receive this onslaught.
It's still very much the other person's turn, and the other person's turn takes a long time. And I think the other thing too, and this might be because most games have more integrated turns now, or most games have the you move guy, I move guy. Like I really like Star Wars Legion for that. But I think what's really sort of interesting too about it is. I don't really understand why it feels that way to me, because I guess on paper I'm sure someone could write me and say, no, it's nothing like that, Russ, because you do this and you do that and it's different, but it just feels that way to me. And it feels like, I don't know what it is about
it does have that feeling.
The way you have to look everything up, the way the vehicle cards, I like all the unique vehicles, but it just seems like really hard to look everything up and figure it all out. And it's just I don't know, it's slow. I don't know what else to say. It's not the overall playtime, well, that's part of it. It's the slowness of each phase, as opposed to like, oh, that was cool. And I think the biggest criticism of games like War Machine often, and I'm not trying to say War Machine is the greatest miniature game right now.
No, we're just using it as a comparison.
It's one of my favorites, but it's not. It's. I think my level of War Machine is probably more nostalgia now. I think there are better miniature games right now, and I've said Legion and others. I'm drawing a blank. Song of Ice and Fire is also very good. But what I like about War Machine is one of the biggest people hate about it is it's over too fast. Oh my god, you killed my caster, it's done. Great, let's play again.
The control points.
Right. Oh, it's too fast. Oh my god, it's over. Well, that's great. Let's play again. Like, I'd rather have a game where I can lose quickly and play again than be in that situation where I can tell things are going badly. It's turn 2, things are going badly. I don't want to be a bad sport and quit.
Now,
why I see it for the 3 hours and watch this whole thing play out.
I have 2 questions embedded in here. So I'm agreeing with you 100% that War Machine has that sort of like, now I gotta wait for the other opponent's turn, which we just talked about. And Warhammer also has the dreaded ugh, you just blew up my Land Raider.
Yes.
And now you almost feel like...
I don't know if it still has that as much, because it's harder to one-shot those things.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But it felt like I felt like when you're on the downward trajectory, it used to feel like it was hard to be able to
I think they fixed some of that.
Okay, they fixed that. All right.
It's more like...
But wait. Here's what I want to ask you. You're right. We could talk about integrated terms. We're not going to talk about that. Because why is it that Warhammer feels slower when arguably the time ends up being the same as War Machine, and they're both move, shoot, assault? Like, why? That's because I agree with you. War Machine, it's like, where does the time go? But it's still both move, shoot, assault.
You still usually have less models.
Is it less rules, maybe?
I think the rules are still more streamlined. I think there's things are still... You still have all the flavor. Everything's different. But I think the way all the combat is still this very simple mechanic. And actually, quite frankly, the Fantasy Flight games do the same thing with the Star Wars games with their dice, like Star Wars Legion. It's just very fast to resolve combat. It's very fast to do that interaction. In Warhammer, it's just not that fast to resolve some combat.
Do you think it's because of the long list, like Imperial Guard?
There's lots and lots of dice you have to count. Yeah, like the number of dice you have to count in an attack from one unit against another can be a lot. You be like, I'm going to throw 12 or 13 dice. So you got to throw the 12 or 13 dice. You got to find them all, get them all together, roll them. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're doing this like you've got 10 units, and then when I roll 13 dice, I have to add 13 dice up.
Which again, match 13 dice up.
Right, which is not rocket science, not super hard, but again, I'm doing it as opposed to War Machine. Roll 2 dice, add them together. Did I beat your armor? Yes, I did. Roll 2 more dice. There's your damage. Oh no, you blew my armor.
Done.
We're done. Right? And Star Wars is even better. It's like, roll the dice, count the bursts. Roll the dice, count the defenses. What's a lot of dice? 5's a lot of dice. 6 is a lot of dice. 7's a lot of dice. It's not like 33. Now, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, part of what Warhammer made Warhammer awesome was, I get to roll 33 dice for my orc unit. And you throw them all down, and it's awesome. Then I got to count up 33 dice. Right? And then, or at least look for all the hits in the 33 dice. So it's cool, and they've kept the core of the game, because that is the core of the game. And I'm not saying it's bad.
No, I know. I wanted your opinion.
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Here's my second question for you.
Yeah.
Come on through the chain, the paths to get through.
All right, come back over here to switch out setup stuff. Yes, go ahead.
Craig?
Give me a recording episode with the name of the game. This is kind of convenient. I hope it sounds good.
It might not. It might sound echoey, but I think people will like it. I think
you can't go wrong with ASMR, Raef. We're going to find out.
That's true. I think they'll like, one of our tenets of our show was just gamers talking.
Yeah,
and I knew we'd be talking while you set it up, so I thought, why not throw the recorder on?
Why not?
Okay. Why do you think we gamers do this? And I've done this with Craig. Craig said. Craig's like, I've sworn it off. Song of Ice and Fire. That's my army scale game.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this. I'm going to play Legion. Is that the right one? Is that the Star Wars one?
Star Wars Legion, yes.
And I'm going to play whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Right? Why do you think we gamers do that? Like, lots of us will do that. Like, I've never played Warhammer again. And then 2 years later, like, oh, Warhammer's back in my psyche. Why do you think we swear them off? Or like, why have you?
I don't swear them off. I mean, I'm like, I would never play 40. I mean,
I don't know. I remember hearing you say you'll never.
No, because I've kept my Imperial Guard on me. So I would never. I don't believe I've ever said I'll never play it again. I will say that it's not going to be my go-to game. I might have said I'm not going to collect more armies, which would have been false. So I started collecting orcs, but I did. I kept my Imperial Guard because there's a lot of nostalgia for the game for me. I always want to be able to play it. And I like the fact that they work really hard to not retire any models. So I know that my Imperial Guard armor will always work in some fashion. Maybe some units will be better or worse. Maybe there's 1 or 2 units I can't use. But for the most part, the guys I've had since the 90s will still function, which is kind of neat. So I like that part of the game. I think with miniature games in particular, the problem is you have to spend a lot of time painting them. So the real question, I think when you hear a miniature gamer saying, I'm no longer going to play that game, what they're really saying is, I'm not going to collect and paint those models anymore.
I see.
Because that's a lot of work, and I don't know that I'm going to enjoy the game or not play it, unless you're someone who just likes to collect and paint. In which case, if that were you or the person, then I could see them grabbing all kinds of stuff. So when Craig says it, because Craig cranks out armies all the time, what Craig's saying, I think, is I'd rather collect 2 armies of Star Wars as opposed to have a 40k army and a Star Wars army. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what he's doing. And one of the things he and I both started doing is we can, we're both pretty fast at painting, although I'm not nearly at Craig's level. where when we get to a miniature game or a game we like, we'll each collect 2 armies, which can have 2 of our friends join us then, and we can play 4-player little leagues and events. And so for us, it's more fun to do that and get other people into our group to play with us, even if they don't feel like painting models, as opposed to chasing down 40K. So that's I think what he's probably saying in some fashion.
Gotcha.
That's my guess.
All right. Yeah. And obviously people might be like, well, duh, ask Craig. It wasn't so much you predicting with Craig, it's just the topic came up into my mind. You're like, I wonder why we gamers do that. And I just talked the topic.
That's my theory. I don't know if it's correct.
So I played the Star Wars game with you.
Yes.
During COVID, in the garage, actually.
I remember.
And we didn't get COVID, so that's good.
That's very good.
And I did not like it.
I know.
And I kind of want to try it again, because I'm kind of like, why didn't I? Like, why didn't that... I love Star Wars.
I know.
So it was almost the opposite of Warhammer 40K. In other words, I was like, it was all meh. The droids were kind of meh to look at. The tank was okay. You had me play the rebels, and I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah. And then maybe I just didn't understand the game well enough to think it's fun. But I hear you, Dave, and Craig love the game.
We do. And I love Star Wars, so that's part of it. I will say the models are not... I think the models are good. I like them a lot. I particularly like the droid models, but I will say they're not at the level of 40K or some of the other, Privateer Press, I don't think. Although they're getting much better. But I just like the universe, and the mechanics are really good, and they really capture the theme of the units. And I really like a couple of the mechanics. I like the mechanics of how the missions work. If you remember, like D6G episode 1 or 2, we described how mission building should work, and we wish GW would go build it with cards. Fantasy Flight's done that, right? Because it originally came out with Dust. When Dust came out, we were so excited about Dust because they did the card.
I actually liked that game.
Yes. And so they've done that they've kept that Dust mechanic. So Fantasy Flight has learned over the time as they've experimented with miniature games, they've built some pretty solid mechanics, I think. And that particular mechanic I really like. I also like how the leaders work. When you switch a leader out in Star Wars Legion, it's very much like War Machine. Your whole army style changes. So they've got a lot of variety, and now they've got 4 factions by merging the timelines.
What are the 4 factions?
Well, you have the clones, so the Republic, the young Republic. You have the droid army, right, from the prequels, and then you have the rebels and the Emperors, the Imperium from the New Hope series. So you have all 4 of those, and then you have sort of I think there's a 5th one now because the bounty hunters can kind of be their own faction now. There's a bunch of mercenaries that kind of made their own.
Well, maybe I'll try. Did you have me try clones? Was it clones versus droid?
I can't remember. I think we played clone versus droids because those are the armies
I had Obi-Wan. Does that help? Does that mean that?
Yes, that means you're playing the clones.
Okay, well let me try the rebels then, because the clones didn't do it for me.
Well, yeah, if you don't like the prequels, that might be part of it too.
I love the prequel movies. I'm one of those rare fans that
and I've
actually
likes
1, 2.
So I have Darth Maul now, for example, and I have all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot more coming out, and they've been adding a lot of stuff from Clone Wars to it also. So like Ahsoka's coming out and a lot of other stuff. So there's a lot of cool. I mean, if you like Star Wars, there's a lot going on there that I like. So I like the mechanics there. So that's why I like it a lot. But again, it's not everybody has to like that one. I just happen to really like that one a lot.
And the Song of Ice and Fire game also doesn't grab me for whatever reason. I've never played it though, so I can't give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
But the desire to be like, I want to play that game, zero interest.
Not working for you?
No.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. What was that game, that miniature game that I think was based on Bolt Action, but was the futuristic?
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. I'm having a complete mind blank right now, and it's driving me crazy.
Warzone or something?
No, not Warzone. It's gonna drive me crazy now.
Now, is that game sort of that game kind of reminded me of our droid Rebel? Maybe it was the bursts, or maybe it was the dice pools or something.
I think it's the way you activate your models. So in the Star Wars Legion game, and this is a really interesting mechanic. So in Bolt Action, which is what you're referring to, you have a bag of dice, right? And there's 2 colors of dice in there. There's the color of one faction on the other, one player the other. And you draw from the dice bag. And if I get your color, then you get to go. And if I get my color, I get to go, right? In Star Wars Legion, they have a similar mechanic, but you can mitigate the luck. So in Star Wars Legion, you have a hand of command cards, and this hand is based on the commanders you've chosen to include in your army and special operatives. So there are some basic, there's like 6 generic command cards, but if you take different leaders, you can swap out the generics with cards designed custom for them that let them do, it actually kind of gives them feats. It gives them, because you're only going to play each command card once per game, with one exception. So basically, like, there's a command card that Grievous can play where he goes nuts with all of his lightsaber arms and just start and wipes everybody near him, right? Things like that. So those give you sort of these one-time feats you can do with the characters, or they just give you really powerful maneuvers. So when you play one of these command cards, it does 2 things. One, it's got an initiative step on the top, so it's going to control, when you both play one, it's going to determine who gets the first activation of the turn. And then the second thing it does, it allows you to give orders to certain units. And depending on the command card you play, controls which orders you give. So the command card might say you can give the order only to Obi-Wan, or the command card might say you can give it to 2 troopers, or the command card might say 3 of any units, right? So generally the initiative is worse if you can give orders to more stuff, right? And when you have orders, you can issue orders to any unit within a certain radius of your commander. And giving them an order means each of your units in the battlefield, you have 1 token that matches them. And the tokens are matched by type. Think 40k, troops, HQ, specialists, heavies, right? And so if I give an order to that unit, I take their token out of my token stack and I put it next to that unit face up to tell us that it's gotten an order but I haven't activated it yet. But then any units that don't get an order stay in a random stack of their tokens. When it's my turn to activate something, I can choose to activate a unit that's got a face-up order next to it that's been given an order, or I can go to the random stack, right? Mm-hmm. So the random stack is kind of like bolt action, because I don't know I'm going to get to activate. But it's always going to be you get to activate a unit, I get to activate a unit. The difference is now, when it's my turn, by giving orders, I can remove the randomness to say, well, I can actually activate that guy, versus going to the stack, which might pull out a heavy token. I really want to activate my troop unit next, right?
That might be what I don't like about it, actually.
So that could be bolt action-ish.
That might be what I don't prefer, because it's this extra level of thought process of hand management that whereas I think I like where I'm like, I just want to move these people because I want to.
So there's a command and control structure, which I really like.
Yeah, but some people really like that.
Yeah, so it creates the morale system, I think, in Star Wars is very, very good. People generally don't run away. They can eventually, but generally they just lose activations by taking suppression.
Yeah.
And you have to keep your leader close to other units to get those good commands off, or you can mitigate that with technology cards, basically war gear you can attach to your units, like comm links and things, to let them take orders or always get an order every turn. So if you don't like that mechanic, you can actually build an army that doesn't really have that mechanic, but you won't have as many models on the table because you'll put a lot of points into that command and control stuff, you need more flexibility, which is what I really like about it. So like if I can kill your leader or force you to move your leader somewhere else, you'll lose the command and control. And some of the armies really depend on it, like the droids. If you don't give the droids orders specifically, they do just terrible things. Like they have to always shoot first if they can, so you can't always move them, make them run, be strategic. So the droids really get dumb if you don't keep giving them orders. Yeah. So you can't let the droids go, which is right out of the movies. So you can't really let the droids just do their own thing. Meanwhile, the clones are much smarter, and so other units are better off when they're spread out. And so it really depends also on the army. So it might be too that the particular army that you play didn't fit your style.
Yep. Right? Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like if I had gotten into 40k and it was Eldar versus, which I just don't prefer playing Eldar, Eldar versus, I don't know, Tyranids back then or something, I might have had the same reaction. But now that you're bringing it up, yeah, I don't prefer, I think, that hand style after just one game.
Right.
So, okay. Well, those are all my questions that I thought were recording worthy. But do you have anything that, I don't know, is on top of your mind that you think is fun to talk about as we set up?
Let's see. Well, I'm excited we're playing Dune today, and I'm excited for our next War Machine game. Yep. And I guess my question for you on the War Machine game is, should we go bigger or keep it small?
No, I liked where you said we're going to keep it 35 for a while so I can get reintegrated into the rule sets and whatever.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Do you like having the app for War Machine?
Yes.
Or do you prefer actual physical cards?
I would prefer that we could also have the cards.
Yeah. But it's harder to keep them up to date.
I wouldn't mind. I would.
You pay for them?
I would pay for them.
Yeah.
I would. I would pay for them.
Yeah.
And I can answer that with some authority because my friend Sean, who's a big fan of the show and happens to live in Hampton, And so he's one of the benefits of the show. He listened to the show for years and years and years, and he's like, hey, by the way, I live near you. And we've become friends for the past 3-4 years. So anyway, we were getting together, and he's like, hey, I've always wanted to play Flames of War. You got your gamer loft now. Let's play Flames of War. And I'm like, I haven't read those rules. I don't know. But I got into it. You can't see it on the radio here, folks, but I got my bags over there. And I had the whole art thing set up. He came, so I had fun modeling it and setting it up. And I'm like, oh my God, look at all the stuff that I got painted. And so we played. And they have cards now. Oh. They went to cards. And I didn't have the cards, though. So as I was researching to get back up on the rules, he had the new rule book. So we were doing that where we kind of had to flip through the rule book because I didn't have an army builder for it or anything. And I noticed that they now have cards. And so I went ahead and I ordered cards. And I'm excited at. So now what they have is the Stuart tank. Yeah. And it's a big card. It's like a 5x9 type of card. And it has what you need. It has the motivation. It has how to hit them. And what's their speed. What's their across ground speed. Like, you don't need the rule book. It's right there.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. And from the little bit that I got to read, I think they, too, streamlined the rules. Those rules had gotten pretty burdensome around 3rd edition. They were pretty cumbersome. Yeah. But I think they streamlined a bunch from what I've seen. Nice. So I'm excited to play a game after getting the rulebook, which I ordered. It should come around Christmas time. So I'm looking forward. Maybe I can convince Andy to play a 40K Flames of War game again.
Nice.
He's my Flames of War player.
So yeah, I think I like the apps too. I'm using the app now. I have the Star Wars game Legion has a web-based army builder that basically lets you see all the cards. So there's not an official app for it, but it works like it was an official app. So I can basically play the game without any cards, which is great because they read all the point costs, and so it's kind of a pain to use the cards now. And they changed some rules, so I really like having that app. I'm surprised that they haven't switched over. Atomic Mass Games haven't switched over to it, which is now they have Star Wars now from Fantasy Play.
Oh yeah.
But I also like War Machine for doing the same thing, and I have to say I do like the fact like it's so much faster to build the army. Like I actually play with Craig, and Craig likes to use all the cards and get all the little war gear cards out and everything. I think that's fun for him, but it just takes a lot longer to set everything up.
Yeah.
And then to find it, and then when the units die, it's just I thought the phone would be slower, but I don't think it is.
What I don't like about the phone, and it's the stupidest of things, which is solvable, is it goes dark, so it locks out.
Yeah, you can turn that off, though.
I know, but then here's what happens. I forget that it's turned off, and so then my phone dies in the middle of the next day. Now, here's the other solution. Go get an iPad. You can get a used one for, $99, and it could be just for the frickin' thing. Yep. And I could do that, and I should probably do that, but I just haven't done it. Plus, the iPad would be a bigger form factor because with my old man eyes now, it can be hard to. And what you and I discovered is the rule interface wasn't quite there. So, like, if it's like, what does stealth mean again? And then it does have a hyperlink, but it kind of switches to this PDF, which is pretty cumbersome.
Right.
But in all, I like it. Now, the word on the street is that 40K now has an app to build armies.
Yes, I did know that.
I've not tried it, so I don't know.
Yep, I did.
I had to do it old school. Okay, well, anyway. Cool. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to chit-chat with you about those items. Hearing nothing further, we can terminate this recording.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Hopefully the audio was okay.
Well, we'll find out.
With all the thumping around in the room and everything. Yeah. And the echo and my loud voice.
And ASMR. All right, see you guys later.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at info@d6generation.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Thanks for listening and happy gaming.